You're doing everything you're supposed to do. Job, gym, good relationships, sleep, all of it. So why does it still feel like something is missing?
Because you aren't ungrateful, and you're definitely not lazy. You just checked every single box society handed to you, reached the supposed finish line, and instead of a parade, you found a void. You put in the hours, but that deep, settling feeling of peace you were promised when you finally made it, it never showed up. It's incredibly isolating because on paper your life looks absolutely flawless, but inside, you are running on fumes.
But what if this emptiness isn't a problem you need to fix? What if this hollow, numb feeling isn't some deep character flaw, or a lack of discipline, or clinical depression?
What if it's actually trying to tell you something? We'll get to that, but first, we really need to look at why the things we constantly do to try and feel whole, why they consistently fail us. Picture a guy caught in what we can call the checklist trap. He aggressively optimizes his entire day. Up at 5 a.m., crushes a brutal workout before the sun is even up, eats perfectly clean, and by noon, his inbox is at 0. He hits every single metric of a quote-unquote successful day. He is the absolute picture of discipline. But by 9 p.m., the laptop is closed, the house is quiet, and he's just sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the wall, feeling completely and utterly hollow. See, he's fundamentally confused completing tasks with feeling fulfilled. He's treating his life like an endless inventory of chores to be optimized. And man, that is a deeply exhausting way to live.
But here's where it gets interesting. This hollow feeling at the end of a highly productive day isn't just about bad scheduling or taking on too much. It's actually wired right into your neurobiology.
We are taught from birth to believe that reaching a goal will finally bring us lasting happiness. We think the promotion, the weight loss, the bank balance, that's the magic key. But notice the contrast here. Your brain's dopamine, the chemical responsible for motivation and drive, it actually spikes during the chase. The pursuit is what floods your system. The exact moment you finally reach the goal, that dopamine drops. Your brain very quickly resets its baseline, making the actual arrival feel incredibly flat. It forces you right back onto the treadmill to ask, okay, what's next? You are biologically wired to make the chase feel infinitely better than the finish line.
Most people completely miss this part. They feel that drop in dopamine, they feel the emptiness, and they assume they just need a bigger goal, a harder chase. So they double down. But let's look at how this builds over time, because this goes way deeper than just brain chemistry.
Emptiness is actually a psychological signal. It indicates a suppressed emotion or an unmet internal need. It is not a sign of laziness. For a lot of high achievers, this actually traces all the way back to childhood. We absorbed early messages that love, safety, and belonging were entirely conditional on our performance. If you got the good grades, if you won the game, if you didn't cause trouble for your parents, then you were safe, you were loved. Achievement wasn't just a fun goal, it became a literal survival strategy.
And that creates a totally exhausting loop. You wake up with high-functioning anxiety. It's that low hum of dread telling you you're falling behind. That anxiety drives you to overperform. You say yes to the extra project, you stay late, you push harder, and that inevitably leads to massive emotional depletion. You are running yourself absolutely ragged. Then, finally, you hit the goal, you get the praise, and you get a temporary sense of relief, a quick hit of pseudo-safety. You exhale, but it fades in days, sometimes hours, and the baseline anxiety just comes right back. You get stuck using success as a massive shield to prove to the world and to yourself that you are enough. And that shield gets really heavy.
And this one thing changes everything. It's a complete paradigm shift in how you view that hollow feeling in your chest.
What if feeling empty after doing everything right is actually a sign your life is working, just not for you? I really want you to let that breathe for a second. Your survival mechanism worked. You survived. You achieved the safety, the status, the respectable paycheck. You did exactly what you set out to do. But the life you built belongs to someone else's expectations. You followed a blueprint handed down by your parents, or hustle culture, or relentless societal pressure. You built a house that looks beautiful from the street, but you don't actually want to live inside it. The emptiness isn't a malfunction. It's your true self knocking on the door.
To make this shift, you have to stop asking, am I doing enough? And start asking, is this even mine? You've been measuring your entire life with someone else's ruler. Shifting this perspective moves you from constantly measuring your output to questioning the metric itself. It's really the only way to break the loop of constant, exhausting striving.
We have to clearly separate external achievement from internal meaning. Titles, praise, milestones, those are external. They're great, they pay the bills, but they simply cannot fill an internal void. Internal fulfillment comes from presence, small joys, and authentic connection.
You literally cannot hustle your way into knowing who you are.
So to find that internal meaning, you need to start building evidence that you exist when you aren't performing. Small, micro actions. Going for a walk without a podcast playing in your ears, just letting your mind wander. Reading a fiction book strictly for fun, not to optimize your career or learn a skill. Sitting with a friend without an agenda, a timeline, or a problem to aggressively solve. You have to actively build a body of evidence that you are a person, not just a performance.
Because if you don't start building that evidence, you end up wearing the armor of achievement for the rest of your life. Imagine this. You finally get the promotion you spent 3 agonizing years grinding for. You did it. You pack up your desk, walk out to your car, close the door, grip the steering wheel, and you expect fireworks. You expect to be ecstatic, but instead it's just quiet. You're sitting in the driver's seat, staring out the windshield, and you start crying. Or worse, you just feel absolutely numb. In that desperately quiet moment, it hits you. The armor of achievement hasn't healed any of the wounds underneath. You didn't outrun the emptiness. You just carried your exhaustion to a higher tax bracket.
If this kind of explainer is what you look for, the stuff that makes you actually think about your life, you might want to stick around on this channel.
Let's land this with one powerful, simple idea to carry with you. Fulfillment is found when you stop using achievement to escape yourself. It's not about achieving less or giving up your ambition. It's about achieving from a place of wholeness, rather than a place of running.
So I'll leave you with this. What would you do with a Tuesday afternoon if no one was watching and absolutely nothing was at stake? And if you want to go deeper on this, there's a full article in the description, worth reading when you have 5 minutes alone.